Did I not fuck you up? Because I actually I did like 1, 2, 3 and record.
I think I did it okay.
Not at all like how an effective countdown should work at all.
Do you want to redo it?
I'm sure it's fine.
No, it's good. It's good. Don't
okay,
worry.
It's good. Well, I guess
my sound is good.
This is the point where we do the intro, I guess.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to Eat the Rich. This is a show about our political economy, late-stage capitalism, and the millionaires, billionaires, and multinational corporations hell-bent on staving off its death rattle. I am Chris, and joining me this week, we have Cari.
Hello, entrepreneurs.
Hello, good evening, fellow entrepreneurs. I guess I actually keep speaking at this point. Usually this is when Dwight just keeps talking.
Yeah.
But
you're nailing it. You're doing so good.
Yeah, thank you. It's just us for this one, and we've this is sort of one we've like had a pin in for a while.
Yep.
I think that Grant Cardone has been like one of my favorite people that I've discovered like through the course of this show, and I believe has been a fan favorite as well. So we would have been remiss had we not completed the trilogy. This is this is part 3 of the Grant Cardone trilogy. You'll remember we first were introduced to Grant back in episode 75 when we did like a full profile on him, and then we checked back in with him somewhat recently with the Patreon episode 98. So if you want a little bit of a refresher on Cardone before we get into this, those might be good places to start.
I feel like I know him intimately now after all the content that we had to watch.
I have watched so much of his content, really. But we were aware that, and we've mentioned it on the show as well, that there was a reality show that Grant Cardone was a part of called Undercover Billionaire, season 2. He was in the second, and it seems like probably last season of that show.
There's no way they make another season.
I I don't think so.
I do want to watch the first season, because in the intro, every time they show the guy say like dying in his car, and he's like, "I think I need to go to the hospital." So I do really want to watch that. So.
I would like to see that, and also he failed supposedly
Yes.
the first guy. So the concept of this show, it's called Undercover Billionaire, and the first season was just like solely followed this guy named Glenn Stearns, and he went to I think he went to Erie, Pennsylvania, right? The premise of the show is just like, getting dropped off in an unfamiliar town that you've never been to with just like a used truck and a cell phone with no contacts and $100 cash.
I have the phrase "cell phone with no contacts" burned into my brain.
Yeah, and then the challenge is to then try to you have 90 days to build a company from the ground up with a $1 million valuation. Like that's the premise of the show. And supposedly Glenn Stearns, the first guy, he failed the first season, and they brought it back for a second season, and I've known Grant Cardone is in it, so I've wanted for a while to watch this. It would kind of been sort of planning this one, and then finally, it's currently Saturday. I guess on Thursday. We started watching it.
We waited too long to start watching it because we knew we were recording this.
Yeah. Well, I also we could not have ever expected that it would be 17 hours of material.
No, there is it's not edited. The second half of it is just not edited. Each one is like taxi driver length.
Yeah, most episodes of it are like feature film length. Some of there's 14 episodes. Some of them, I was expecting maybe 8 to 10, 20 to 40 minute episodes. I think is reasonable for a reality show. The minimum. Some of these episodes, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 of them were like 40 minutes long, and the rest of them were an hour and 20 minutes to an hour and a half long.
I think the longest one was 92 minutes, because when I saw that, as I was scrolling through, I was like, I'm going to kill myself. I can't.
Yeah. And so we've watched it. We've
all of it.
It's basically all I've done for the past few days, and we've watched the show, and I guess we wanted to kind of get into that a little bit. God, there's just so much fucking material. Where do we even start with this? I guess we've introduced the concept.
Look at day one, I guess.
Yeah, we'll sort of get into the contestants. Everybody knows Grant. If you're listening, I'm sure you know our boy Grant Cardone, Scientologist. That's how I first discovered him. I
totally forgot that
in researching the Scientology episode. I wish he talked about that on the show.
I can't believe he didn't, because he was in some like pretty desperate situations. I would think that he would like want to turn to his like spiritual guides.
I hope he did. I hope he had hours of like really deep, like religious like type discussion and like soul searching, and they just cut all of it. That would be great. But this show, and I think it was so long because there was like three contestants. There was Grant Cardone, who is a real estate guy. None of these people are billionaires, by the way.
They can't Cardone, be, right? I was thinking that.
They're millionaires, but none of the people. I guess Glenn Stern supposedly is. I think Grant Cardone tries to say he is, but I don't think he is.
Well, because Monique Idlet, like I saw today, I don't think they mentioned it on the show. She's Timbaland's ex-wife. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's worth like 80 million or something. She's not worth more money than him.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the three contestants. We got Grant Cardone, we got Monique Idlet, who you just mentioned, and then the third person was Elaine Kulati, who I'd never heard of, who is again just some. Had you ever heard of her? She's just some real estate. Again, another like real estate person, and I think like interior design person or something.
I have to say, I really strongly doubt that she's even a real estate person, because I've never seen somebody with like less skills than she has. Like at least Monique and Grant, they were able to like scam people and like talk to them and sell them on things, but she can't even do that. Elaine just like cries.
Exactly. And hey, it worked out for her.
It really did.
In the end, it worked out for her pretty well. But all three of these people and all of their they didn't interact with each other. All of their segments are filmed separately, and I'm pretty certain it's pretty evident that they're filmed at different times even as well. Because this interesting thing that we'll get into about the show is that like filming on it started on like February 25th, 2020. Just
at least for Grant's segment.
Yeah. I mean, literally, like started filming right before like the lockdowns and everything started. But they send Grant Cardone to he's going to Pueblo, Colorado is where he goes. Monique goes to Tacoma, Washington, and Elaine goes to Fresno, California.
Yep. All very poor areas.
Yeah, all sort of like exactly like economically sort of depressed areas, and they're going there to start a business, to recruit people, and to start a business.
To be parasites.
Without being themselves. They can't be themselves. They don't have their money or their name or their contacts. They all choose fake names. I thought it was pretty funny that Monique and Elaine at least kept the same first name to keep it easy.
Yeah.
I think that Grant like they just picked like separate like different last names, but like Grant just like completely picked a totally different first and last name, which had
it's like his brother's name reversed.
Yeah,
that's why
Louis Curtis.
He kept like muttering to himself like, "I'm Louis Curtis. I'm Louis Curtis. I'm Louis Curtis."
He's way too dumb to be able to handle that. Like people calling him Louis, and that's not actually his name.
There's no way.
He had to have really struggled with that for the 90 days.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll sort of like get into episode 1, which was and we're going to give like a very long and detailed recap of every single episode. By the way, this episode is going to be 8 hours long. This is the abridged version.
We could really do like 20 hours on this if we really, really wanted to. But I think that we would like lose our sanity by the end. Probably. But so they all go to, they're all going to different cities. And in the first day, for all of them, they're just dropped off, and they supposedly don't even know the city they're going to. They're blindfolded until they get dropped off there. They got $100 in their car, and then they have to, day one, find shelter, find food, because they make a big fucking charade, which I felt was really like completely unnecessary. I mean, they could have like to make this big deal out of them, like having to struggle to survive and to find shelter and to find food and all of this stuff, when like Monique and Elaine especially are like, I'm in danger, even though they're like with a camera crew. Yeah,
just been a producer for the Discovery Channel and all this. Like, just put them in a fucking like hotel, put them in a cheap apartment or something. Like, it was really silly. I thought that like supposedly their like shelter and food budget comes out of this $100 or whatever. And the most, and really it started right away, but like the most insulting thing about the show, like throughout all of it, was that like the point that they're trying to drive home. And there's so many fucking like little twisted little like fucking like neoliberal lessons in this about how like everybody is to be commodified, and everybody is an entrepreneur, and everybody's their own little entrepreneur, and we really all have the same we all really have the same goals, and we're really sort of all working on the to better ourselves and to be entrepreneurs and all that sort of stuff.
And we all have the same opportunity.
Right, exactly. That's the main thing. That's the whole premise of the show, is that like if we strip these like rich people of their money and their name and everything, and then we're going to prove that anybody can make it. Well, I mean, they have a camera crew. Like let's like completely like strip the fucking like this ridiculous notion that this is like an accurate representation, and then it's an equal playing field for everybody. Because every one of these people, they all like very quickly learned how to like play the big shot off the camera crew, and still impress upon people that that there was something, that they were a big deal or something.
They also have like their wardrobes and like their makeup and stuff. Like they look very put together, and they have a camera crew with them. Like of course they're able to get people to give them stuff. Like
right. Like they don't have the fucking like they're not wearing like fucking like suits and shit, but like they're wearing their like rich person casual clothes, basically, to try to look like the everyman. But they make this big fucking deal about all of them like going to try to find shelter, and I guess we can kind of get into everybody's techniques a little bit differently. So Grant Cardone, his first deal, he gets to town, and his idea from the start is like he's not actually going to start a business. He's going to like find other like existing businesses that are in town and just basically
who has my money.
Yeah, who's got my money? That's his thing. Like that's a common like thing that he says on the like I've watched a video of him like doing like a training seminar for like salespeople, and like that's what you need to be asking yourself on every call. Who's got my money? And so he's like he's walking
exactly like
he's walking around this like economically depressed town. Like at the start of COVID, like screaming like who's got my money. First thing he does is like goes and like finds an RV dealer. He like convinces the RV dealer to like let him sleep in one of the RVs for like he says, I don't want a handout. Like I'm not asking for a handout many times. He says that doesn't give him any compensation for it. But so he gets an RV to stay in, and he also. Was this I guess the same day that he got the Jeep?
I don't think he got the Jeep right away, but he did end up stealing the guy's car that he was selling. I thought the way he did that was like, so it was like he has the heart of a scammer, because what he did was he was like, what's going on with that car you have for sale? What if I help you sell it? And then once the guy agreed to that, he was like, awesome, I'm only going to put 10 miles a day on it. Like, that's my car now. Like, just.
And I'm going to try to sell it. That was the other part of it. I'm going to try to sell it for you, which he never did.
He never did.
But I guess we'll get into that. Do you want to maybe talk a little bit about maybe like Elaine or Monique on day one or something?
So Monique was like still the most appalling thing, or one of the most appalling things that happened on the show. Monique, as soon as she got there, went to like, she was like, I'm going to find a church. So Grant's thing was, I'm going to find an RV dealer. She was like, I'm going to find a church. And as soon as she said that, I was like, you are a disgusting human being. Of course. Like, you're going to go to where where actual poor people would go to get resources, and you're going to steal those resources. And this poor pastor that she gave this like sob story to, she's like, I'm recently divorced. I'm like here by myself, all this stuff. He, on his own credit card, put her up somewhere.
Yeah, gave her 3 nights in a hotel room.
And then he also sent her to like get a job with some lady stuffing envelopes for like a local organization. And then there, as she's doing that, she immediately steals the information from the organization to find the congressional candidate, who she then later scams into living in her house. And she's telling all these people that she's like a divorced single mom with nothing, and they're all like, we're gonna help you. And she's just like, awesome, because I'm all about building community. And she's like the most egregious one to me, because of the way that she just like took advantage of this stuff. I don't know. It was really upsetting.
No, I mean, I was very upset about her, and also about Elaine as well. And just like any time they would like steal, like basically just like use take up well-meaning resources that are there to actually help somebody who needs it. But yeah, Monique, I guess we'll kind of get into that. I sort of like all three of them are like various levels of despicable in their own way.
It's unique, each one.
Yeah, Monique though. Like, I think that Grant and Elaine, to like a certain degree, they are abrasive, and they know they're abrasive, and they rub people the wrong way, and they don't care, and they're just like aggressive, and they'll barrel over people to get what they want. Monique is much more sort of like conniving, really, and like sort of leaning into all these things, like again, like community, and like her fucking like her business, her big business idea that she ends up starting is she's going to end food deserts in the community by with selling like $5 ginger shots.
but the crazy making thing is that every single person that she said this to was like, "That's such a good idea. You're so right. That sounds amazing, Monique. Can I give you $2,000, please?" It's unreal to watch it. And then in terms of the first day, we had Elaine. She like couldn't find a place to stay at first. She took the longest. So she's like I think the most inept. Honestly, I think that absolutely
she sort of took the longest. She was just like wandering around downtown Fresno, and she sees this didn't make any sense to me. And I even I think I like wrote out like verbatim her quote or whatever. She's like, she sees this place called the Shepherd's Inn, like it says like bar and grill or something. And there's like there's no way you would just see that sign and think they have rooms there, right?
Yeah, she said an inn is like where you sleep or something.
She's like, a lot of people don't know this, but like an inn is like where you sleep, and they have hotels, And I was like, well, it says bar and grill. I mean, I think lots of restaurants are just like called like inn or whatever. But incredibly, the place actually did have rooms.
I think the producers found that place for her. I don't think it went the way they had
showed
to.
I don't think it possibly could have gone the way they depicted it. But she on the first day stumbles in this place called the Shepherd's Inn in downtown Fresno. It's early COVID. The restaurant's closed. They can't have any business in the restaurant or bar. But like upstairs they have like a limited number of rooms, and it's basically like an SRO, like a single room occupancy hotel where
$25 a night.
Yeah, low income, $400 for the month or whatever. There's a communal bathroom on the hall that everybody uses. There's lots of places in cities in California like that are like this, and it's generally like a low income type housing situation.
So again, she's taking a spot from somebody that actually needs a $25 a night room.
Right. So she then of course takes this room. Can't pay the guy.
Oh right. Yeah. She's like, "Can I work for you?"
Yeah, I think she did
cleaning.
she did spend like $25. I think she did spend something the first night, but then she like makes a deal with them that's like, okay, I can't pay $400 for the month, but how about I give you $500 worth of labor?
Yeah.
And I will clean the kitchen and the bar and everything, which she didn't do.
She did not do shit.
Like 30 days later, she was like yelling at somebody else because they didn't do it for her the way they were supposed to.
She recruited the two girls who are like young women that like one of them is like in recovery. They're living in the $25 a night hotel. And she's like, "What if you guys clean this place for me? For free, for sweat equity in my fake business."
Yeah, so sweat equity was her favorite. Her favorite. Yeah. Oh God, I swear to God, she had. So she, and I get like her metaphor or whatever, like because she explained why she was saying tranche, but like it doesn't make any sense outside the metaphor. Like that's not what that word means. And so she was saying it like every business or like everything that I have is like a different tranche of money or whatever. But then you just like can't keep referring to like the bar tranche and this tranche and this tranche and like without the context.
She like the funny thing was, I don't know if you watch this with captions on, but like the people who transcribed the captions had no fucking idea what she was saying when she said tranche. It got transcribed as French choices, trench. I mean, because it's the way that she's saying it, it's not a word. She's like a tranche is like a financial thing, but she's every time she's like tranche.
Right.
I'm sorry, like I'm not going to keep going off about it, but I've been thinking about this like nonstop because it made me feel fucking crazy.
It was like I was like saying it to myself in my head when I woke up this morning. But so yeah, I mean, again, Elaine also taking advantage of well-meaning resources, low-income housing, at the start of a pandemic. And so she then just decides, like, well, I'm here, so I'm going to make this fucking, this is the business I'm going to start. So I'm going to
steal this.
I'm going to somehow just weasel into this, like, existing business, this existing restaurant. And so this guy, Russell, it's like, this is like his heart and soul or whatever. He's owned the place for 18 years. And
it's a family business.
The family business. And so she decides what they're going to do is, because it can't operate as a bar right now during like early COVID lockdown. So we're going to, make it a like a permanent indoor like deli and grocery store with like farm fresh produce and like like a farmer's market where the farmers can come and this is like what every one of these people's like ideas is like, well, what if we sold this produce that you're growing? What if we sold
Yeah.
that?
What if I helped you with that?
Yeah. What if I came in and inserted myself into this already existing business that you've been managing for 18 years?
As a middleman. I think it's important to point out too, because Shane was like popping in and out while I was watching this. He did not subject himself to 17 hours, but he pointed out that like every time that he popped in and saw Elaine, she was just like standing somewhere and saying that was now her business idea. So first she was at the inn. She was like, what if I have an inn? Then she saw that the bar was there. She was like, oh, what about a bar? And then she literally just like went to a deli. She was like, oh, what about if we put a deli at the bar? And every time she like went somewhere, she was just like, stealing your business. Like she did not have one idea. Like at least Grant and Monique had like a little bit of an idea of like what to do to create something.
Yeah, I think that Monique is the only one who really like did the challenge as it's intended and actually like at least attempted to like start a business from the ground up or whatever. Because like Grant also is just like, again, he's just like, who's got my money, Pueblo, and just like walking around and like like giving everybody COVID.
He basically just stole money from Matt Smith. That was was all he did.
Right. That's yeah, exactly. That's all Grant ends up doing. And I want to, I guess, maybe focus mostly on Grant for this because he's our boy. He's our guy. He's our returning champion. But he also, I mean, his main idea is just like, find an already existing business and like weasel myself into it in some way.
To do
promos. But the funny thing with Grant, again, is like his segment started filming, it had to be like February 20-something.
Yeah, he mentioned February 25th at one point, I think. Yeah.
And then... So like he's got the Jeep at this point that he's borrowing from the RV guy. He's sleeping in the RV. He's met this guy named...
He sells the car that the show gave him.
Yeah. This is my favorite. This is my favorite shit. So he's trying to sell the car, like the SUV that the show gave him free because he's got this Jeep that he can that he's like borrowing from somebody else that
stealing,
he can just like stealing that he's like supposedly supposed to be selling so that he can just drive that around. And so then he's like trying to sell the SUV that the show gave him. It's like, I think he's like 14 days or 13 days or something into his challenge when the governor of Colorado declares the state of emergency for COVID, which was March 5th, I believe.
Yeah.
And so the really funny part is that like he's on the phone. He's like narrating over top of it about like how concerned he is about his wife and kids and stuff. And then he's like on the phone like, oh, I just don't know if it's right to bring y'all out here now. We're just so scared for y'all. And he's like, hey, hold on a second, I got a call. And then just like hangs up on his family that he's like very concerned about and like takes a call about this like SUV that he's selling that the show gave him. And then he goes and he meets this guy. He sells the fucking thing. He sells the SUV for $1,500. And then like...
He's got his money.
Then he's got his money. And then he meets up with that guy, Matt Smith, who owns the gym and owns a mattress store and like owns a bunch of different businesses around Pueblo. And he like convinces this guy to give him $10,000 as a consultant or whatever. And the guy like writes him a check. And this guy had to know he was Grant Cardone.
Yes, we were talking about this because when he first showed up, he went to the gym. He got this guy's name from the RV guy. He went to the gym and the guy saw him and was like, don't come in here. He must have been like confused. Like, what is Grant Cardone doing in my gym?
Yeah.
And then the next episode, he's like, what's up? Let's do business together.
Yeah.
Like, and then he gives him a $10,000 check.
Yeah, this is
for fucking nothing.
This is this is Grant Cardone's like target audience. Like I can't imagine that this person like doesn't know who Grant Cardone is.
It's his ideal, he just knew him.
But so this guy writes Grant a $10,000 check, and then like immediately after that meeting, like the producers like we gotta shut down this show. Like the Discovery Channel or whatever says they can't do it. So literally they just like shut down. They shut down Grant's challenge for COVID. They send him home.
He's so upset.
He's furious.
He's like, I'll never do this again.
Yeah. And then at some point, like he comes back. I don't know. It's like a sort of indeterminate amount of time. Like he goes home for a little while during like the lockdown, and then he comes back.
It can't be more than a couple months, so it's still like in the middle of COVID.
It's still 2020. Yeah, it's probably summer of that year is what I thought. But it's not too much longer after. But he comes back, and then now like he doesn't have a car. He sold the car that they gave. He sold the car that they gave him.
He never cashed the check.
Yeah, he never cashed the check. The Jeep that the guy was letting him borrow, that Jeep is sold now, so he doesn't have any car. He doesn't have any car, and he's just got the $10,000 that Matt Smith wrote a check for him. So he like then goes out and buys I think the one he sold, the SUV he sold was like a 2002. He sold with like 200 something thousand miles on it for like, he sold that for $1,500. He then buys like a just slightly newer, like a 2 years newer like used SUV for $3,800. Because like that's fucking like that's how you do deals.
Absolutely.
You sell the free car that the show gave you for $1,500. And then you deals, all day deals, and then you purchase another car for more than twice that amount, and then that's just how you do that. That's just how you do great business deals. And the really funny,
maybe that's why I wrote this note. I wrote he can't do basic arithmetic, so maybe that's why I wrote that down.
Yeah. The really funny thing about Grant is that it's so evident for all of them, but particularly for Grant, is that just like he can't imagine, like he gets frustrated because he can't trade on his name and his reputation, and like he seems to also not realize that that's what's going on, and that like like every time, like his whole fucking like strategy is just like he goes into like every fucking business meeting and then like just like insults them, or like just says something weird, or like just blows up the meeting by being aggressive in some weird way. And he's like, can I have the $20,000? And then like, no. And then the next scene is him like, oh, I wish I could just tell him I'm Grant Cardone. This is driving me crazy. If I could just tell him I got 9 million followers on social media. It's like he can't do actually anything except just trade on his like his celebrity and his like social media followers and his name. Like I can't just tell him I'm a millionaire.
I think the way you phrased it in the chat was that like he's having like an existential crisis, but he's too stupid to know it.
He doesn't realize
which is exactly spot on. Like he says it like every episode. Like you can't. And again, like once he gets into the swing of like having meetings with people, I would say like generously like 90% of the deals that he tries to do fall through completely, just like completely fall flat
through his own like weird. There's like the one meeting he has with the guy, I think it was like a former NFL player that owned the barbershop or whatever. There's the second meeting in the barbershop where he just like insults the whole town for everybody there. But like even the first meeting with that guy, he's like sitting back in the chair with like his arms up, and he's like, "You looking at my biceps?" And the guy's like, no, what? Absolutely not. What are you talking about?
So
like, why
weird,
would you? What a strange thing to say.
He was like flirting with him quite a lot, and then they went to the gym together. Like, there was like a vibe for sure. But I mean, we have to mention before he started trying to do all these deals, or I guess in the middle of doing all the deals, because he did go around and like interact with a lot of people, he got COVID.
Yes. He did.
Which was the series of phone calls that he had to make, like, hey man, you better go get tested. Like that was probably the only satisfying part.
Yeah, and this is after he's come back too. This was after they originally shut the show down. Then he comes back a few weeks later. He's like 14 days in, he's got nothing. He doesn't have the car even that they gave him, and then he gets COVID, and then he's out for like another, like immediately gets COVID because he's just like walking around just like shaking hands with everybody and not wearing a mask, and then he's just like baffled that he got COVID, and he's pissed.
He said, I wrote down, he said, I feel like a loser. He was like so mad that he had COVID.
This COVID-19 has jacked up my 10x potential. My money making momentum is all fucked.
You can tell he wants to say 10x so bad the whole time that he's like talking to anybody, but he knows that he can't, and it just like kills him because that's like all he has, that he's built this like weird stupid brand.
Right, and it's so funny because it's so evident that like his whole thing is just fucking just trading on being Grant Cardone, the real estate guy. So when he can't be that, and he just has fucking just like his own like I don't know fucking like skills and intelligence or whatever to fall back on.
I haven't looked into this, and I don't remember if you've mentioned it, but since he's a Scientologist, do you think the way that he like was able to build up his career was through like all the real estate that the Church of Scientology owns? Because I can't imagine just with how abrasive he is that he like did anything.
I think that he did. I mean, I'm sure that's helped his career later on, but I think that he did. Because I think that he kind of came to Scientology later. I think he tries to say that he got into it in the 80s, but I don't think that's actually true.
Okay.
I get into that a little bit on the first episode we
go back and listen, folks.
Yeah, we talked about with him. Because he says that like he was a drug addict, he went to rehab or whatever in the 80s, and then he like read Dianetics and it changed his life or whatever. But like he says that, but he also says that like he didn't actually start like becoming a practicing Scientologist until like much later, I believe, like in the 2000s or something.
Interesting.
After he'd already sort of like built up his wealth, his real estate career and all that sort of stuff.
I have to know how he did it.
But everybody in the show is just sort of just used to just trading on just their name and being rich and whatever.
Bringing nothing to the table.
Bringing absolutely nothing to the table. I guess we can kind of, I'm trying to think of like some greatest hits we can sort of get into a little bit about Elaine and Monique and for some of the sort of the middle of the show.
I've got some highlights in the midsection here. So
okay. This is a good one. I wrote this line down. This is Grant buying the RV again. So this is an RV, right? It's
he's
great.
Like I guess that he tries to act like clueless, and then maybe he thinks that he's like taking control of the situation by doing that, because he'll go from like that weird like clueless like, is this an RV, to like really like trying to be in command of the situation, which I think is what really puts people off.
Yeah.
But for Monique and Elaine, like one thing that I wrote down for Monique for sure is that, because again, it just pissed me off that she was like taking advantage. She went to the library and got a laptop for free. Just immediately. So it's like some kid is going to like need that laptop that the library gives out for free to like do their homework, but she's like starting her fake business on it. She says it's all about job employment. That was one of my favorite Monique quotes. An Elaine quote that I really liked, this is farming at a big level, because just to like do like a little just brief summary so we can focus on Grant. Elaine is like going around to farms. She has like a little bit of a job. She immediately destroys an almond tree. That was great.
Yeah,
and the guy didn't even get mad at her
on camera.
Yeah,
like, how mad would you get on camera? I guess I don't know. They also true. may have just cut it also, but that was particularly funny to me, because she was like, because like Elaine and Monique both like they went around and kind of like found like odd jobs that they could like work a little bit for like an hourly wage and make some cash. Grant did not do that. Grant just like strictly like leached off of everybody. But Elaine at one point she's saying she's gonna like work like shaking the almonds off the trees. She says like it's $1 a tree. Like she's like estimating that she's gonna do like 50 trees an hour or something. Easily 50 trees an hour. At the end of it, she did 51 trees in 4 hours and like fucked one of them up and like crashed the fucking machine into the tree and fucked it up.
She kept saying she barked it because she like just destroyed the bark. Yeah. And then immediately with the $50 that she made, she goes to get her eyelash. This was one of like my favorite parts. She goes to get her eyelashes done in the back of this poor woman's car, who's like, I guess, doing this on the side. She explains that she had like a really rough few years. Like I think her dad died and then her stepmom died, and she's in recovery.
Also,
yes. She takes advantage of a lot of people that are in recovery. Elaine does.
And then Elaine's like, hey, you should run my bar.
For free.
Yeah, for free. Yeah, for
Why
sweat,
not?
For sweat equity. Sweat equity. Because that's the because that's all these people. I mean, they've all got like just suckering all these people into just working for them for free.
Yeah.
And with Elaine specifically, there was like She's got like the two girls that like lived upstairs, like working for her for free. She's got the woman that did her lashes working for her for free.
She's got Chris, who was like he worked at like the deli, and who she just, the way that she treated Chris.
Oh God, yeah.
I've never seen, like, why did he put up with that? She screamed at him, she called him stupid.
Yeah.
She like, I think she like pushed him at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, that brings us to like the halfway point. Like the note that I have here on like episode 7 is that Grant says nothing is working, and then they did like 5 minutes of him trying to feed a squirrel. Because they just stopped editing the show at like episode 4.
Yeah, eventually they stopped editing the show. Like in fact, I think only the first half of the show like even aired on actual television. I think like the most of the episodes, like the second half, was just like straight to Discovery Plus because like no one's watching it, and they just like gave up on editing it also because all the later episodes are super long.
And I don't blame them because editors normally have to go through like thousands of hours of footage. Can you imagine like thousands of hours of this from like multiple cameras? I would just like die. I don't even know.
But all of their, I mean, so Grant, like at first, like he's trying to latch on to like some vague idea of like a consulting firm or like a marketing firm or something. Then he decides he wants to buy this like some commercial real estate. He wants to buy like an apartment building or whatever, and he's like, and like
he wants to raise the rent.
Yeah, he's like, yep. Like that's his business plan, is just to like buy the apartment building and then just like raise everybody's rent by like $200 a night.
So sickening.
At the start of the COVID pandemic. Which is not even as awful as what Elaine does. Like when Elaine first like started like worming her way into the Shepherd's Inn, like I was afraid that her business idea was just going to be like renovating the fucking rooms in the SRO and just like turning it into like a Airbnb rentals or a boutique hotel or something.
Yeah.
And then initially when she didn't do that and was like doing like the restaurant and the bar and the deli and all that sort of bullshit, I was a little bit relieved. But then like later,
she does do it.
She does do it, and she like and
she
like
kicks
even,
everybody out of their rooms and shit.
Yeah, and she even like wields it like over this guy. She basically like uses like raising the rent as a cudgel to like force somebody else who lives there into working for her for free. So she's had everybody else that lives there working for her for free, for sweat equity for all this time. And there's this other guy that lives there who's a chef, and then she has a meeting with him. Because was so upsetting. She's going to, because she wants him to cook, because she can't pay everybody else on the team, but she wants to let them know how thankful she is. So she wants to feed them. So she needs to like force this guy into work for her, to cook and to feed everybody else that she's not paying. And the way she's going to do that is their rent is $400 a month. Well, we're renovating the rooms. The rent is now $1,000 a month. But you can pay $400 cash like you've been doing, and the other $600 you could
just work for me for free.
You could work for me for free and provide, you know, all this food that you're cooking and feeding the other people that I'm not paying.
It's
real sick. And again,
it's really despicable.
Again, this is like May or June 2020. Like this is like early in the pandemic. Very early in the pandemic. And the guy is just like, I mean, of course, it's like totally unreasonable. He's like, well, that seems like really high for the rent, and she's just like, oh yeah, it's a lot. Like she's like that's what she says.
Yeah,
you know, but she knows she's got him by the balls, and there's not anything that he can.
He doesn't have a choice. Yeah, of course, and she gets. I think like she ends up probably getting the most people to work for her for free.
That's how you do.
Because I guess she pays the contract. Yeah, I guess that. I mean, I guess it worked. The business is still around. I checked.
I did too. Yeah, I checked on all of them.
Poor Russell. Like, we should mention too that even though Russell is like a business owner, the guy who like owned the Shepherd's Inn before, like he explains that because he had to shut down for COVID, he's doing really bad. He like can't pay his bills, and he's driving a cement truck, so he's working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week is what he says. Right. And she's just like, wow, that's crazy. Can I have $150,000 from you?
Yeah, you should take out a $150,000 yes. SBA loan and give it to me.
So that I can renovate your business and steal it. And the thing too with Russell, and we can go back to Grant in a second, but the thing too with Russell is that at the end, what really pissed me off, and I rewound it to make sure, at the end, she's like, I'm going to give you 50% of the inn. Like, she just completely took ownership of it, and then she didn't even give him back a controlling stake. She just, like, fully stole his business. Like, how? Like, that should be, like, fucking illegal. Like, just execute her. I don't... Okay, obviously cut that. But, like, obviously...
Don't cut it. We got
obviously, that should be, like, she should be in fucking jail. Like, she just, like, stole this guy's life completely.
Yeah, it's really sick. The whole show and the whole concept is really sickening. Like, what pisses me off the most is that, like, it's like the message of this. It's like, this is fucking hustle culture. This is like fucking neoliberal fucking hellscape that we live in. And it's like, you need to fucking be prepared. Do you want to get ahead or not? You need to be prepared to put the work in. If you've got somebody with like an entrepreneur with a really good idea that you trust, and they need your work, and maybe they can't pay you right now, but sometimes you need to take a risk, and you just need to you need to put in the sweat equity, and good things will come of it. I mean, that's exactly the point that they're trying to drive home. I mean, it's very, very clear ideology. And
of course, like, the show is engineered to like. Yeah. They made it so that they do give money to the people that they took advantage of. And that's just because, like, that's the way they designed the show, because otherwise it would be too despicable. But, like, in real life, you just know all of these people have stolen, like, thousands of hours of labor from people and never given them anything in return. So, while Elaine is doing all that and Monique is building her wellness ice cream truck to end food deserts through snake oil.
For the community. Grant... and health for our children.
And so for like the next 3 episodes, I kept writing down, like, Grant just keeps losing deals. He calls himself Reverse Samson while he's shaving his head. Yeah. He tries to get a bunch of people to work for free. There was like that moment, I think I sent clips of it to the chat, where he's like, he said something about like being a murderer to get like publicity to like a group of like 3 college-aged women. And they were just like, what?
Oh, like, yeah. The meeting he had alone with the three women, that was hilarious. Yeah.
That was really fucking weird. And then the line that he said that I really liked is, with every move I make, I checkmate myself. Because he just like couldn't stop failing. Every time he had a meeting, they were just like, all he was doing at this point, he is trying to do like the promo business, and he's basically using Matt Smith's contacts. Matt Smith is like the local business guy, and they're just going around to all of Matt Smith's friends to try to get money.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, you should give me $20,000.
They talk for 5 minutes. He's like, I'll do your TikTok, I'll do your Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, everything. Only $50,000. Because he wants the money up front too. He's like, $5,000 a month, 12 months, $60,000. Yeah. Easy. And they're just like, no. I guess the bank was the first one that really gave it to them. The bank was like, yeah, I'll give you $120,000 for free. For some reason. Again, I feel like Matt was like, I'm coming over with Grant Cardone.
Exactly. I feel like that's the big thing that's like not mentioned. I think that guy had to know that was Grant Cardone. But it's funny, and especially like I really liked the meeting with like I mentioned, the meeting with the guy Antoine in the barbershop, and then this is like the one that Matt Smith didn't go to, and then he later meets this guy at the barbershop who owns the barbershop, and then he's like, this is when he's trying to do like the commercial real estate deal, and he's like trying to get everybody. He's trying to get investors for that. And he like has a
he's trying to get other people to fund it because he has no money to buy.
He has no money. Yeah. And then he has a meeting with these guys, these like potential investors, like other like small local business owners that the barber like gathered for him, and they're asking very reasonable questions like, how much are you investing? Right. And in which he just like evades and like dodges.
He's getting so agitated.
And he's getting weird and agitated. And then he's like, what is this he says exactly?
He said, I'm not from here. I'm not Pueblo slow.
Yeah,
and all of them just like look at him like, what?
Yeah,
fuck?
Exactly. Just like completely insults them, insults the town, and then just is like sort of like, yeah, blah 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 blah, and like doesn't know what to say, and then
he's like, so who's in?
Yeah, like who's in? And then they cut to the interview with him. It's like, fuck, I wish I could just say I was Grant Cardone. He's like so mad. Like that's what's missing. That's the secret ingredient in every deal, is he can just say I'm Grant Cardone, and then it's all good. But they hate him. He blows up that meeting.
They really hate him.
And then the funny thing is that like shortly after that, he loses that real estate deal altogether. Like he was
for being too aggressive.
And pushy and like trying to like he doesn't even have the money and he's like trying to.
He never had the money for it.
Yeah, he
like,
never
ever.
had the money for it. And then like they tell him the deal's off, that like they found another group of buyers who's not in such a hurry. And I was like, I hope that's the guys from the barbershop. Like,
that would be so
like I hope that they're
good.
like, wait, this sounds like a good deal. We hate this guy. But what's that address again? That's sort of what I like to imagine happened there.
I did look up the apartments and they still start at like $700 a month. So I think if a deal did go through, it wasn't from somebody that was like, I'm going to triple the rent, thankfully.
Yeah.
So at least there's that at the Konakai apartments in Pueblo, Colorado.
What else was what else all happened? There was like a weird like Elaine homelessness arc where she was like mad about all the homeless people and like the garbage around.
Because a trash can got set on fire. Yeah, so she called the police.
Somebody set a dumpster on fire. Right. So she called the police like 8 hours later on the totally burned out dumpster. Like they're gonna fucking be able to do anything.
What the fuck are they gonna do?
Yeah.
At least she turned that into like an event for the community or whatever.
Right, but I mean that was all, and I think that so much of that like clean up Fresno or like clean up the downtown, so much of that stuff is like has like a fucking like very anti-homeless sort of like
absolutely
thing to
it.
And I think that was absolutely where she was was coming from.
I mean, she was basically saying, like, this will get the homeless people out of here.
Right.
Like, that's basically what she was fucking saying. She had, like, such fucking disdain. And, I mean, you know, like, her and Elaine both, like, kept driving home this, like, at least Grant wasn't doing the community thing, but they were like, we're going to give back to the community. Right. Give back to get back, or whatever. Like, they kept saying, like, all these, like, weird quotes. And they don't give a fuck about these communities. They don't give a fuck about, like, the poor people, like, the homeless people in these areas. Especially Elaine, she's just like, I don't know if I can say it, but she's just like a rich bitch. Like you could just tell that she's used to just like going somewhere and like throwing a temper tantrum and like getting what she wants, which is how she gets her company valued at $1 million in the end.
And it's literally what exactly what she does. Exactly
what she does.
Exactly what she does.
But the same episode with the trash can on fire where she like pivots it to like this weird anti-homeless event was the one where Grant has the giant meltdown about lying. Do you remember this? He's like, I can't do this anymore. I don't know if you come here, if I'm going to be here tomorrow. He's like suicidal. He's like, I'm Grant Cardone. I'm Grant Cardone. They don't know I'm Grant Cardone. He's just like pacing around and like muttering to himself, yelling at the producers. The producers are all like worried. They like go in a room with him. They're like, come on, man, you got to get it together. This is okay. You're fine.
If I could just show him my Instagram followers.
And then the next day, he's just like, fine. He's like, hey, guys, what's up? I'm ready to do deals. I think that's when he calls himself a crack addict for deals.
Yeah.
But he keeps failing after that. I don't know. When did he turn it around?
Like day fucking like 80? I mean, like literally, like Grant Cardone's 90-day fucking challenge is like, like the first 2 weeks is just like fucking like just borrowing a Jeep from somebody and then just like saying he's gonna sell it and then just driving it around, and then like conning somebody into giving him $10,000, and then there's like the break for COVID, then he comes back and then he gets COVID and then he's in quarantine for like 10 days or however long and he's fucking freaking out, and then after that, I mean, it's really just like. The first idea is like the real estate that he wanted to buy, and then the second one was just like the second one was just like the marketing firm that he was starting with the guy Matt Smith that he met that owned the gym. But yeah, I mean, like every fucking, you know, day fucking like 20 through fucking like 80 is just like failed meeting, and then like fucking like by the end of it, he's just got the one guy, he's got Matt, and he's got like the bank that signed with the marketing company and maybe one other company, I think.
Who was the guy with the tan that they spoke to? Was that a boat dealer? Was that what he sells? Do you remember who I'm talking about?
There's so many different ones. God, I'm trying to think of the one with the tattoos that was muscular.
It was the one where, for some reason, Matt Smith brought his wife to the meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? That guy was quite strange. But that was the guy that was also in recovery,
right?
Yes. Yeah. He definitely mentioned that a few times to try to get in with people, and it did work, you know.
What was his deal? I'm trying to remember if it was the
I could like draw a picture of him for you, but I couldn't tell you what his business was.
I know the guy we're talking about. But yeah, it's just like, Grant does the fucking tour of like every fucking like small business tyrant in Pueblo and gets like shut out by all of them for being a weird freak and aggressive for no reason. until like the very last week, like he gets a few more people for like clients for his marketing business, and like that,
and a bunch of young women to work for him for free.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he turns it around,
and that's it. And it's funny too, because like to hear, because like I've seen like. I've heard Grant talk about, like, since this, I've heard him talk about his experience on the show. And, like, to hear it from him, he did awesome.
Really?
He did awesome. Like, the other two contestants were suckers because they went out and, like actually got jobs that, like, pay an hourly wage or whatever. And so, like, he was just, like, literally, he's like, yeah, first day I found one guy and just sort of, like, buddied up with him and found a successful existing business. And just, like, yeah, that was his whole thing, was just to, like, you know, and he's very proud of that.
He's such a piece
but
of
that's
shit,
his whole,
dude.
I mean, that is his whole deal. That's his whole deal.
He did get the highest valuation, to his credit.
He did get the highest, he got like a $5.5 million fake valuation.
It's a non-business. Like, I don't even think they produced any. I feel like if they had produced content, they would have, like, shown it. Like, if they actually made content for people, and I don't think they showed it. I was pretty checked out for, like, a span of, like, 4 episodes at one point, so maybe they did, they did.
Yeah, they were filming, like, commercials or, like, social
like
media
TikToks
fucking videos. They were filming something with Matt Smith, and then, I remember there was, like, one meeting with, like, I think it was Mia, whoever was, like, the person in charge of, like, the marketing and the social media, and they were saying that, like, they filmed some videos or something, and then they all got
then she
deleted.
lost them on her hard drive.
Exactly.
She was so upset about this job that she's working for free. She was so scared of losing it. I felt so bad for her.
Right.
And I mean, through this, I think like around that point is the point where Elaine really starts melting down. And I wrote down here, because it made me laugh so hard. Shane walked in and he said, Elaine is like Hitler in the bunker right now. Because like they were trying to renovate the space and she's just like screaming at everybody, melting down. Everything sets her off. She like got into an altercation with the contractor who she ends up offering like $1 million or something insane. And she's just like, nothing that happened for Elaine happened because of Elaine. She was like an impediment to anything being done in that business every step of the way.
Yeah, she would do something. I mean, ultimately, it's on her. Like that's the guy. Like one of the first people she like had a meltdown at was like, I think the person, like, she was mad because like the kitchen wasn't cleaned yet, but like,
yes,
you were supposed to do that. You promised you were going to do that for your rent. You were going to do that for your rent. Like, that's what you promised the guy, that you were going to do this in 30 days, and like now it's like 29 days, and you're mad at somebody else. Because that you just pawned this job off on them yesterday, and now you're mad at them that they don't have it done. And like you said a month ago you were going to do this.
Yeah, and all she does is like go around and yell at every worker that she has, like doing various things. The altercation with the contractor ends up being because the contractor's like doing something. He's like, you're going around and you're telling all my men to do different work than what they need to be doing. And so it's much slower, and that's why we're not going to launch on time. And they do miss their soft launch.
Right. Because like,
and they have a disastrous actual.
I think that the sewage back up and flood or something. I know that happened.
There was like a sewage. Oh my god! There's a giant bug on my monitor. Oh my god! Okay, hold on. I have to go get Shane.
You got it.
Hold on.
All right.
Shane. Oh god.
Jesus Christ. Hi, Chris.
Hello. I would have got it, man, but I don't think I can't get it from here.
Look at it. It's not that big. It's really not.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Oh my god, that was so awful.
Leave all this in. There's no rules. Sorry. No more rules. Yeah.
I don't even know what we were saying. That bug was literally.
What were we saying? About
Elaine.
About Elaine. Yeah, Elaine shooting herself in the foot with like everything, and then getting mad at somebody else.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, a lot of times, I think maybe we should talk about like everything that doesn't make sense with this show, because like the entire time we were just like messaging back and forth, like, how are people writing them the checks into their fake name, or like what's going on here?
How would you get an apartment? Because like Grant gets like a place to live, so like all of them end up getting like a place to live that they're paying for themselves. Like, maybe they're like doing it through the show. How is Monique collecting money from people?
Exactly. If they've got like an LLC that they're writing the checks to, or like what's going on exactly? There's a whole lot of it that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I feel like I would be like, if one of these people like showed up to my town, I would like I would be so freaked out by like Googling them and nothing coming up that I would just be like, don't even talk to me. Like, who the fuck are you?
And I can't believe that, like, and I was wondering that, like, the whole time, like, did they set up, like, fake LinkedIn profiles for these people? But, like, apparently, I guess not.
Well, Grant said that he had no social media. Yeah. He's like, at the end, he was like, you guys must have been wondering why I didn't have any social media. It's like, and like a couple of them are like, we were, like, but we Googled you had Louis cameras Curtis with you.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing too. Like I said, they all very quickly, particularly Grant, like, Grant figures out that he can't be Grant Cardone, but he's got the camera crew, so he can at least, be a big shot in that regard.
They all use the cover that they're doing like a small business documentary.
And again, and like that is like what's so insulting about it as well, because like in just the way that they lie to everybody about all of this and drag everybody along and trick them into giving them free labor, and also like at the time period, like when this is happening at the start of COVID, when people are like out of work and like people like need this place to live and all this sort of stuff, and people
it's so despicable, dude.
Need a job where they're being paid. Like
I mean, the one girl that Grant has working for him is like a single mom, and she's paying $250 a week for a nanny so that she can work for him for fucking free. Like, that's really, even if you know you're going to give them money at the end, doing that to somebody for like 2 months is like so cruel. Yeah, and so is like the sort of like the excuse, like the backstory that they would give everybody. It's like, well, we're just, when they'd ask about the camera crew or something, like, well, we're doing I'm just new in town. These guys are with me. We're doing a documentary about small business owners and entrepreneurs. We really want to turn this community around. Like, we're doing a documentary on entrepreneurs in Pueblo or whatever. And so like they tell all these people, like the story they're giving them is that, like, I just moved here. I want to do something really good for this town. I'm here to stay. They don't give a fuck.
You should work for me for free.
Oh, we should mention too, along that vein of like how they treat the towns like shit. The building, so Grant, as soon as he gets money, he's like, we need like a really nice office to wow our clients. Just like the most surface level shit. And they go and they buy literally the oldest building in Pueblo, Colorado. And they gut it. They like ruined this fucking I have to think like some of the shit that they did was like not legal to do to a place that's like designated as a historic site, which the building is. But they just like turn it into like a, hustle culture, grind, fucking headquarters. They have that poor fucking guy. I think he does the mural for free, but his sister just died. And he's like, I don't know if I can do this because I have to go to my sister's funeral. And he's like, what if you put something on the mural for your sister? And it's just
for free.
For free.
As a tribute, as a nice tribute to her.
And he's like, it's so nice of Grant to let me do this. And I was like, what? It has to be the cameras, because it doesn't make any fucking sense, man. Yeah, I mean, it really, the cameras make all the difference, and that's why it's so silly. That's why it's such a fucking charade to like try to say that anybody can do what I'm doing, and that's what the point they're all trying to drive home. Anybody can do this, especially right now with COVID. Look how you could do this too. You just need a camera crew and a couple $1,000s worth of Botox and shit like that. You have to have your extension.
Yeah.
I mean, look, anybody who's ever tried to get help without a camera crew following them knows that this is bullshit. Like, that's it.
Right.
There's nothing else to it. They're just like putting on this show. It's like the myth of the American dream, and like anybody can do it. And it is like, in a way, like kind of like guilting the people in these communities that are like suffering and are poor. Like, why didn't you have this idea? Right. Basically.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we have to wrap it up soon, right?
Yeah, I guess we can. So we can talk a little bit about sort of like, I guess the final business and sort of like the valuation and everything. I guess we really didn't. Right. We sort of like skimmed over Monique, who was I think just like the as like insidious as like her relationships and like what she was doing and like how she was using the people. I thought it was bad. I think that she was like just like interpersonally though, just like the least unpleasant and jarring though, like in her in her interactions with people. So she was like the most boring.
You could have a conversation with her probably without it being like a big deal. She did start a business technically.
She did some. Did you happen to get what her valuation for her business was? Because hers was over $1 million, right?
It was over $1 million. I think that it might have been like $2 million. Yeah. It was between $1 and $2 million. And I have to say, like, I really don't think that her business is worth that much because like anybody could duplicate it.
Doesn't own any real estate. Doesn't own a building.
No
doesn't any no assets. No fucking like intellectual property. No nothing. It's just the concept of what if juice.
Even the logo is like I saw when she was like I don't know if you noticed this, but she was initially like Googling stuff to like for like the business plan.
Yeah.
Even the logo is like copied from an image that she found on Google. So she like made nothing.
And there was also apparently already a juice place in Tacoma called Rooted.
I know. I ended up finding that too. What the fuck?
That like went on to they I believe they changed their name.
Really?
Yeah. After this. But yeah, so that was Monique's. Monique got this like $2 million valuation or whatever for.
Well, and to clarify too, what happens is it's supposed to be like an independent. Is it called evaluator?
Yeah, I guess.
An I don't know. It's like a weird corporate thing. It's like guys that decide what somebody's company is worth.
Grant Cardone kept saying valuator, so that may be what it is. But it's hard to say.
Knows.
It's really hard to be sure.
But yeah, they like go over the books, they go over the business plan, they go over like the forward-looking revenue, and they're like, this is what we think your business is worth going forward. So Monique gets between like 1 and 2 million. And then we have Elaine, who the guys that she gets 2 evaluators, and they go to like the launch of her business, and it's like a disaster. Like nobody knows what they're doing, everything is fucked up, and then they go to her and they're like, your business is worth $947,000, and that's when she has a meltdown,
cries, and like she's like, I need to go. And just like gets up and like walks out of the meeting with them, and then they're like, I don't know.
That's never
like, I don't know
before.
that anybody's ever walked out mid presentation before, mid valuation, but okay.
And then magically she comes back, and they're like, it's worth a little over $1 million. You did it, Elaine. Good job.
Like, well, we took a closer look while you walked away, and actually, it's slightly over $1 million. So, great job.
That's actually I think maybe her business could long term be worth that much because it's like so many different businesses. She has like the coffee shop, the deli, like a butcher, and the hotel. Yeah. You could see over time how it would like make money.
Yeah, I do think that hers is probably the most reasonable as far as like a sustainable business. But it was an existing business, basically in a building that she stole and like tweaked a little bit, and that's really all she did. Made this guy take out $150,000 like small business assistance loan or whatever,
and then took all his personal savings too. Because she ran out of money,
and then later took another loan from him, like his personal savings,
$60,000 or something.
Yeah, I think there was one point actually I think Grant Cardone's like one of his like business ideas was like PPP loans. We just got to get PPP loans. he said PPP, and I think they cut it weird to make it look like he wasn't talking about PPP loans. Yeah, because he said like power something, and then he wrote PPP on a whiteboard and like underlined it. Yeah, and it's like, okay, he's just trying to like scam the government. Which, like, a lot of people did. I love his whiteboard scribbling thing. Like, he does that, like, on his show, like, his YouTube show and, like, at his presentations. And I loved that he, like, took the whiteboard in to, like, that meeting at the barbershop for, like, 5 other people. And he was just, like, scribbling on the fucking whiteboard and just, like, doing fucking, like, just, like, magic. Yeah. Just, like, nonsense. Just, like, moving numbers around. Like, hey, look, now you see $5 million return. You know?
I feel like now that you mentioned this, I remember last time that we talked about it, I looked it up. And yeah, he has hundreds of thousands of dollars in PPP loans. If you go to that PPP search, you search 10X, there's like dozens of loans.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. He's got,
so he did. Yeah. But then he gets to his valuation, and somehow his do you want to say what he got?
His was like $5.5 million or something. The funniest thing about like is like up until the part where the guy like reveals $5.5 billion or whatever, like every time the guy would have like some slight critique or something, he'd be like, "Oh, come on, man, come on, you're killing me, man."
I think at one point he said he was like getting pissed off, and he was like about to get violent because he's not used to anybody like evaluating him. Like he's used to being the one that's evaluating. Yeah. And then of course, like in the midst of the valuation of their companies, they're coming clean to everyone as well.
Yes. Which is
that's like a really big,
very
dramatic.
touching moment. Yeah.
I mean, the real highlight of this for me was after Monique comes clean, there's a guy that like couldn't make it to the little event she did where she came clean to like the whole room full of people. And I think he was like the carpenter that had helped her.
Yeah.
And she goes to see him and he's like,
hurt.
He's like saying such reasonable stuff. He's like, I feel really exploited, Monique. Like this feels really bad.
You came
I really
in here,
trusted you.
You told us you know, I'm really passionate about doing this good thing for the community. I gave you this stuff for free to help you.
Yeah. And she just gives him $5,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Like she's like, I really care about the community. Here's $5,000. And it's like, what else is the guy gonna say? I'm sure, again, that's where like the cameras come in, because I feel like a lot of people that she took advantage of probably felt like that. Her in particular, because she, like you said, she's like likable and like friendly, and I feel like people like really cared for. Like she was living with Tawana Nobles, and like in her house with her kids for 3 months. So it's like, you have to be hurt to find out that somebody's just like been lying to you for 3 months. And they all end up just like giving, you know, checks to the people that they like exploited and hurt the most. And that's supposed to be like the moral of the story. You put in the sweat equity, the person with the camera crew gives you a check for $1,000 to $5,000.
Classic American story. Yeah.
That thing that always happens when you work for free. Yeah.
No, but Cardone too, like he was given all of the like the salary that he was offering to like all the young women that had worked for free. Like he's offering them $31,000 a year, which is $14.90 an hour at 40 hours a week, which I'm sure they're squeezing more than 40 hours a week out of those
100%.
100%. They're doing that. So you know, I mean, it's California. Like that's like you could find like that's I mean the minimum wage is significantly higher. I got to see what the minimum wage is in this was in Colorado.
He was in Colorado. And Elaine I think does $20 an hour for her people.
Yeah, Elaine does $20 an hour.
And Monique doesn't have any employees.
Yeah.
So she just like gives that guy $5,000 to shut him up, and I think she gives $1,000 each to Tawana Noble's kids.
Yeah.
Which I guess is probably a big deal for them. But yeah. What are our takeaways from this? Do you think they achieved the American dream?
I think the American dream is alive and well. I think that the American dream is that if you've got enough money and you can fucking big shot people around, you can get whatever you want for free. That's the American dream.
I will be honest, like as the show started and they were just like scamming people, I was just like literally like that part. I do think anybody, like if you were just okay with like stealing from people, you can't just like go in and steal somebody's car. I guess I don't know.
I mean that's a great. I mean it is a great lesson in capitalism, though. I mean it really is. It's like you just if you just exploit people as much as you possibly can, you personally will get ahead.
You can be very enriched just by making everybody around you have a much worse life than they otherwise would. If you learn, and this is the second to last episode of the show, I believe. So if you learn anything from the show, let it be that. You can get ahead. All you have to do is hurt people. It's so easy.
And if you're named Grant Cardone, it's just like so much easier.
I mean, I guess he probably makes most of his money now from like the conferences where he's like scamming people. I guess he's like the Jordan Peterson of real estate.
Well, it's that, but it's also like, I mean, he's got a hell of a hustle because he gets all the money from like the, you know, the admission to the fucking conferences or whatever, the ticket sales or whatever. But like his whole his whole basically business model at this point is like crowdsourcing, you know, funding for real estate. So like all like
a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, it's like a pyramid scheme. I mean that's his whole deal is like getting all of these people like from his social media following and like from the conferences to like put in smaller amounts towards like a a multi-million-dollar real estate deal that he will benefit from the most.
You get like a 1% return or something.
Yeah, and that's like so... it's so funny too because it's like that guy is like in the like when he doesn't have like the mystique of like the aura of Grant Cardone and like explaining this ridiculously structured deal, and like the guys in the barbershop are like, wait, hold on a second, like wait a second,
like why would we do
how
this?
Does this work again? Like why would we do this? Like how much money are you putting in? Like why are we putting all the money in?
Yeah, I
what
think
are you for?
At the barbershop tried to like give them like a paper to sign to like commit to giving him money because he's so used to doing that at like the conferences and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm handing this out now to like write down how much you're committed for and sign it. and give me your money.
Yeah, and
it just like really didn't work.
And also, and like part of his, because he's always sort of scamming as well. And like I remember there's the one part where he was like his criticism of like Matt Smith's gym when they would call in. And like if they ask like what's the cost of a membership, like they tell him to come down or whatever, and he's like what they need to be saying when they answer their phone is hello, this is Snap Jim. What can I get your information about today? Like, and before they get off the phone, you get their phone number, first name, last name, email address. It's like it's every interaction is like every interaction is like transactional. It's like if nothing else, we're gonna sell this. Telemarketing companies. We're going to sell this information.
What a way to live, man. Like, it's got to be exhausting. I mean, he really, like, out of all three of them, seemed the most stressed out.
He was the most, and he was what's funny is, like, he was alone the most, I think. Because like everybody else like was like living with somebody or like really had like people who were like more active participants in whatever they were doing. He was just like
they gathered helpers around them. He gathered like pawns.
Yeah, exactly. He got like just like figured out a couple of the richer guys in town and then just like milked them basically.
I do really think, again, I want to stress, because Matt Smith ended up being such a prominent part of the show. I think that he was like, I'm going to blow this up unless you guys let me do deals with Grant Cardone. And that's why he was like always in the room and he's like high five. He was like a little kid, like high fiving him and be like, I love doing deals with you, Grant. I mean, Lewis. Overall dog shit show. Don't watch it.
I can't believe it's 17 hours long. Like I've seen it.
I can't believe we watched that.
And I can't believe it's that long.
It's just, I watch a lot of reality TV, and I feel like I've said this like 50 times on the show that I watch a lot of reality TV, which is embarrassing, but this is like the worst reality TV show I've ever seen. Like, it was like really, I was having an existential crisis, like by the end of it. Like, why am I watching this? It was just so long.
And it was just so empty at the end too, because like it's different than like other like reality shows or just something. If you were like watching because you enjoyed it, like you may like be invested or have some kind of like care in some way about the outcome. Like the outcome of this was just completely empty. And
it's like, even like you could see how somebody would find it redeeming that they ended up giving money to the people, or to at least some of the people that they exploited, but it's like you just know that like that's gonna be it. Like there is no like rooted juicery now in Tacoma. It's just gone. Whatever business Grant built is just, they're probably gonna be taking that $30,000 a year salary for a couple years and then it'll probably fall apart. Elaine's thing, just Russell is going to be running it without a controlling stake in it forever.
Russell,
like that's just all that's going to happen.
Russell would be better off if he just never met her and just stuck it out through like the early part of the COVID shutdown and then just like reopened the bar.
And then did like to-go drinks or whatever. Like a lot of places ended up doing. Yeah, he really unironically, like over like let's say he lives another 20 years, she's literally taken like hundreds of thousands of dollars from him and like put him in debt. Like his life is just ruined.
And it's just so heartwarming at the end when they're like, guess what? I was rich the whole time. Surprise! Here's money. Here's money. This is disposable to me as you are. Take this $5,000.
It's nothing to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that I think it was that one guy, the carpenter with Elaine, or the carpenter with Monique, I mean, and then like one other person that like really got upset. Like I feel like if that happened to me, I'd be like,
well, I wouldn't.
I'd be like violent. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't have gone along with it.
I wouldn't have worked for free. Yeah. I never would have got that far.
Yeah. maybe when I was like 20, I would have done that. I almost got taken in by one of those like knife selling pyramid schemes when I was like 20. Yeah. Yes. So who knows what 20-year-old Cari would do? Yeah. That's it. That's the last 3 days of our life.
I guess that's it. Yeah. I guess
that's it, ladies and gentlemen.
I guess that's about it.
Again, the lesson, if you're just willing to hurt everyone around you and make communities worse.
Unbridled greed. Just trample wins. All over everybody. And you can
steal, cheat.
Yeah. Exploit people's labor. And you too can accomplish the American dream.
And stay cool.
Stay cool, folks. Good night.
Yeah, swear that money's calling. Who's got my money? So I gotta ask who got it. Who got my money? Got my money. You got my money. No. I got one question. Who's got my money?
until you have answers. And once you have answers, then you go to who's got that money and you do whatever it takes. Once you commit to this concept fully, the money will follow like magic.